Homeless Bureau's Steve Sanders. She is a leader of the Faces of Homelessness Speakers Bureau and is organizing other individuals who know this problem firsthand too well.
So I am here to give a more personal perspective on homelessness, as I am formerly homeless. And so 25 years ago, I was not at the march. I was too young, you know. I was. There's a lot of that. I actually was in New Jersey, and I was dealing with being homeless and hungry. So I just wanted to give more of a perspective of, you know, we're talking about advocates, but I'm a self-advocate, and I think that's a part that's also critical, because we always want to fight for other people without understanding the real struggle. And so I was homeless as a kid, so we can imagine having to do well. How are you productive? I mean, we all travel, and if you don't get a good night's rest, are you productive that next day? Meetings or at school, how are you productive if you don't get a good night's rest, or if you don't know where you're going to rest? That's something that I dealt with, my family has dealt with, you know, most of my young life. And so I was able to work through that and work myself out of poverty that I was born into and obtain, you know, an advanced degree. And so that's great, and that's amazing. But I also had to deal with homelessness again a couple of years ago, because I started a program, small nonprofit program. We all know about the budget and the funding, you know, that nasty F word. And and I struggled with the small nonprofit, and essentially lost everything again in 2011. And it's a tough place to be after working myself out of poverty, and being now, you know, 2 years removed from being in the shelter. I still see women that were in the shelter that are working, and they cannot afford housing. So they're working every day, and they're either going back to the shelter in the evenings, or they are going to a transitional facility, or I know one girl with her young babies going to a hotel. And that's unfortunate. For myself, I am working, I am underemployed. My housing is connected to my employment. If I were not to work there, I would not be able to afford to live in Montgomery County, Maryland. If my home was not connected to my job, I could not afford to live in Montgomery County, Maryland, as it stands right now in a decent housing for myself. And so I just really want to put a face, and I know sometimes my face doesn't necessarily reflect the masses of some of the homeless people, but there are a lot of middle class people that have lost their homes and are homeless due to, you know, the economic recession. And so that's how it affected me. And so I just, you know, I want for us to always understand what it feels like to be on this side. And so I'm fighting on this side, and you guys are fighting on the other side, and it's not us against them. However, I just really want you to understand what it feels like to lose and then still have to get up and be productive. Housing is very, very critically important. How do you move forward? How do you, I always say, how do you dream? How do you dream? And not literally dream, but how do you, I would not have been able to be successful if I would not have found a way to dream. And for me, I always say, and this is an aside, but reading for me provided that opportunity to dream, because what I was faced with in my life was poor and dank and darkness all around me. And reading provided an outlet for me to see that I could do anything. Lots of people, children, aren't able to dream because they are afraid to even close their eyes because of this, because of what they're facing. So let's just think about that as well.